In terms of people, it saves them three of their most precious commodities: their time, their money, and their health, or sanity. Maybe not during a pandemic, but sanity. It saves in the US, it saves about 14 days a year, the equivalent of 14 work days, time they would have otherwise spent fighting traffic. Saves them between $3,000 and $5,000. And in terms of their health, there's all kinds of evidence to suggest that people are less stressed. They have more time in their life for sleep, for family, and for other things that make them feel good.
A lot of people have said that they don't miss traffic jams or rush hours. But I wonder, what about the physical working spaces? What does working from home mean for them? How will this impact city spaces, commercial property, local economies?
Those are all good questions. Things are changing very rapidly. We don't honestly know where it's going to end. My own prediction is that about 25 to 35% of the workforce will be working from home at least one day a week in the future. And that's up from just over 5% 13, 14 months ago. So a pretty significant change there. But the workplace environment is changing too. The physical space will be more collaborative, more tuned to people's social needs. And so home is becoming that place for focus, and the office will become that place for collaboration and the cultural immersion that people need to feel like they're part of an organization. So that means the spaces are going to get actually a little bit bigger, probably. We've gone through this period of densification where smaller places that people work. Now we're going to see that expand, and we're going to see more activity-based working. So you may not have an assigned seat in your office, and you will move throughout the office during the day to places that are most suitable for what you're doing. So you might be in a conference room for 3 people, and then you might be in a coffee area, and then you might be in a private pod where you can actually concentrate. So it's going to be a very different place. But I don't think it's going to be that big a shift in the actual amount of space. We're also seeing that organizations are kind of moving to this hub and spoke model. So we might see the downtown area get a little bit smaller, but places in suburban areas grow up to accommodate the local population and to reduce the commute and to allow people to work closer from home, either from their own facilities, corporate facilities, or from co-working spaces. So pretty dramatic shift. And certainly it's not going to be easy on the downtown businesses, the coffee shops and the dry cleaners and all of those places that relied on the traffic. But I think over time it will shake out. I'm hoping that, in fact, we can use some of that downtown space for housing, economic housing, something that we sorely need, and that will bring back a whole different level of commerce. And we might see cities return to a place of art and a place of culture and the place where people go to enjoy themselves for things. When I first moved to San Diego, it was nothing to drive down to the city. It was a 20-minute drive, easy parking. Now you don't even want to begin to get on the highway anytime after 3 in the afternoon or before 9 or 10 in the morning. So, I think it'll shake out. It's certainly not going to be easy in the interim.
What you're saying is that the office atmosphere is going to change. You think it's going to be more collaborative, and there's going to be more hot desking. So people are going to be walking around the office far more than they're used to, which may be good for their steps every day. But how do you ensure that companies are getting the best out of their home workers?
Well, the real question is, how do you ensure that they're getting the best of their people who are at work or who are at the office? The highest shopping time is during working hours. So it shouldn't be a question of...
Well, it's perhaps easier to keep an eye on them when they're in the office, but if they're at home, how do you know they're not shopping all day?
Well, you didn't know when they were at the office, right?
Some companies do.
The idea of managing by by walking around hasn't worked for a number of years. People work best when they understand their goals, when they have the tools and the technologies they need to meet those goals, and then
So that
when you get out
means
of the
when they're working from home, the companies will make them more goal achievable. Is that it?
well, it should be everybody, not just the working from home. We need to be managed by results, not butts in seats. If I get my job done, if I understand what my job is and we have goals and I meet those goals, then you should not worry when, where, or how I do that.
Kate Lister, the president of Global Workplace Analytics. Thanks for joining us on The Agenda.
My pleasure.